back.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not a director.
Should I move it to the?
Maybe. All right. So, I asked a few people online, like if there's anything they'd want to know. I got a lot of questions about what have you been listening to, like when you're in the car, like what are you throwing on?
Gosh. Well, I did a playlist for NTS Radio. That's kind of all the stuff that I've been listening to this year. You know, some library music. Some chip tunes.
Chip tune?
Yeah, old like, you know, like the Fallon Brothers and Rob Hubbard, all the classic C64 stuff and NES stuff. What else? The guy collaborated with Idris. He's got
Idris.
He's got this guy Nate No Face who does like synth punk stuff. Been listening to that, so yeah, that's kind of kind of what.
Yeah, I just wanted a few things because like you told me that that Chrome album and me and Kara listened to that. I thought it was sick.
Yeah, that's on that. Yeah. That's on that mix I made. That's
okay, cool. Maybe I'll find that and put a link if this ever sees the light of day. I'm not sure. I got another question about your production process and how do you go about like. I don't know, like how do you go about like crafting these sounds and stuff? Because I feel like I don't know, like how do you have any insights on there? I'm sorry if that's a vague question.
Yeah, no. I mean, I've moved over to using analog instead of soft synths where I can. Sometimes they make clones of, you know, like those cheap Behringer clones of like the Mini and stuff, and you can just dial in patches. You know, based on the soft synth settings, but usually I put it onto tape and drop it down a half step, and then if there's things that are missing, I'll just you know overlay the digital a half step lower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the process.
It seems like you really like. Like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like just outsider, a fan, I guess. Yeah. Like, it seems like you like to take like the modes of stuff that sounds like very old and mix it with like synthesizers and like technology that's like modern. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, that actually leads me to another question that I wrote down. I know you love your synthesizers. How do you feel about rock music?
No, I mean,
do you think it's?
I think it's really good that it seems to be having a renaissance again. You can't go wrong with people picking up bass guitars and electric guitars and doing that. I mean, that's what I came up on, and then just kind of the synth stuff was just kind of like just an outgrowth of that. But inevitably, it comes back around to that.
Sure.
I mean, that's really the backbone of post-war popular music. I think. I mean, that's the quintessence of it. Finally, is just the rock trio or rock quartet or you know what I mean.
I think a lot of people kind of gravitated towards like sitting in their room with like a laptop and a synthesizer because it's a lot easier than finding finding a drummer and a bass player and a place to like practice and all that. And I think that is I don't know, like that's interesting to me that like there's like a social aspect to it. That's kind of,
and then you get each person can you know, has their own genius that they can weave into the whole thing when you have a band, as opposed to having there's lots of upsides to having a band, I think.
For sure. Do you think that's like, because I mean this might just be like a me thing, but I think that there's certain styles that might just be kind of like a dead end. Like I think that there's like things that like, I think there's music that is like boundary pushing and cutting edge, and I think there's a lot of like focus. And I think that's another thing with like rock music about why it's not like as in vogue right now, is that it seems like the more kind of like the future of music seems to be more like digital. Like, do you maybe agree with that, or?
No, I mean I don't know. I mean, there's only so far away from that you know, germ of the rock and roll that you can get before it will be something else entirely, or you know what I mean? Like, and I don't think we're going to have a new music until this this configuration that we're in, you know, transitions into something else, because this music is the music of this situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we could be on the verge of some kind of you know, phase transition with World War III, or we're filming this, by the way.
Oh yeah, sorry. It was, yeah. You're fine.
World War III, or you know, the AI tech oligarch guys.
Yeah, I was gonna say
in their shit, and then there'll have to be some new music that revolts against that. Simultaneously revolts and participates in, because that's how it always works, you know. But,
yeah. I mean, I think a lot of like the most forward-thinking music has been stuff that's like a deconstruction, like punk rock being a deconstruction of like rock and roll, and in that deconstruction, it is more forward-thinking than just like doing the same thing again and again.
Well, that's what I think. I think it, you know, punk rock, I think, is probably the best label for it, for it all, for stuff that, you know, I don't mean like the genre punk rock, like the Sex Pistols or something. I just mean punk is the truth of the whole post-war popular music, you know, situation, you know.
I like to say things as I like to describe things like spiritually punk rock.
Where right, exactly.
It's not that it's always going to be like, you know, like some heroin addict screaming in a garage. You know, it's not always going to be like the Germs or something like that. But
it has an antagonism, even as it mobilizes the forms of the what would be the counterpoint would be like the commercial or something like that. The Mickey Mouse Club. I mean, we could get into it gets complicated, right? Because with the poptimism stuff, like maybe sometimes the smiling toothpaste girl is somehow critiquing the. You know, there's like something, an unease in there or something, so it does critique it. It is punk somehow, but I don't know. I mean, that's a.
There's even meta stuff like Andy Warhol.
Like, that's what I mean.
Like pop art and stuff like that. It's like, that's very interesting. I actually never really considered that.
But you know, unless there's something ugly about it somewhere, you know what I mean, or dissonant or disturbing, you know, then it's just you know, praising the world as it stands or whatever.
And I don't know. I guess that brings me to another question. This is something like we've talked about like a little bit on this trip and stuff, but like, how do you feel about like the intersection between like one thing I keep hearing a lot is that like everything's political, and I generally like agree, or at least agree that like you can find politics in anything, and you can find meaning like that in anything. So what does that mean for like, I don't know, like what does that mean for art? Like, does that mean that like everything has to be like a statement? Does everything have to be transgressive? Does everything have to be something or the other? Or I don't know, like,
the spiel I always go on here is just that no, I think that politics is a different truth than art is, you know what I mean? Like, but art, of course, always does, you know, the fields always kind of relate to each other in weird ways. So art is kind of almost is at the vanguard. It's imagining something that is not yet or is to come, and then maybe a politics sort of arises in constellation with that. But you know, just like a pure protest song or something like that, that isn't where the truth of music's protest actually is. Do you know what I'm saying? It's in the musical dimension. Or, do you know?
Do you think it's more in the music or in the audience?
I think that it's in the music. It's like the redistribution of the sensible or whatever. It's like taking these you know, forms, these in like subjectively mobilizing them or something like that. Like that's where you know, maybe that's just a dumb
No. That's interesting. It's like it's interesting what you said about it being like idealistic in a sense that like
it imagines the people that aren't yet.
Right.
It imagines the people that are to come, you know?
Like when Rage Against the Machine is saying like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell
Green
me.
Day is like, I hate President Bush, or Joan Baez and those guys hate the Vietnam War. Mm-hmm. It's like, if there's any truth to what they're doing musically, that's not the level that it is or whatever, you know what I mean? Something like that, maybe. That's kind of what I suppose, you know.
Yeah. Do you think it's like imagining a world like Joan Baez is like her music's imagining a world where there is no Vietnam War like.
Well, or who it's somebody that's not even talking about the war at all, who's at the same time making music, like I guess the Doors or somebody, they have the Unknown Soldier or whatever, but just the disturbing quality or something. I don't know how to articulate
like
it very
transgressive
well. Yeah. It says it without actually having to say it or something. It imagines it without having to be too on the nose about it.
Yeah.
Maybe because it's merely a protest slogan or something like that, then it's neglecting the musical dimension or something like that.
Honestly, I'm so glad you said that, because that's something I've always hated with especially a lot of modern punk rock. Just really sounds like sloganeering to me. And yeah, I think you're right that when when you maybe don't say something explicitly but leave it as this like uncanny, disturbing kind of emptiness and let the audience come to their own conclusion.
Right.
It makes it more profound.
Right. It says it without having to be on the nose and say it,
Cool.
Something like that.
Well, I got one more, and it's kind of an easy one. I don't know. I hope it's easy. I'm sorry if I'm bothering you.
No.
How do you feel about the label hypnagogic pop?
I've never understood it. I guess, I never really was into the genre thing. One day I'm going to sit down and go through and learn all the genres, but I don't know where it came from or what it means. It's like 2011 blog rock.
Sure.
Or something. I guess that's what. But there's a whole group of artists. I guess we're interested in the low fidelity or similar questions or something like that. But yeah, I don't know.
I kind of have my own personal, I kind of agree with you that genres I don't know how you feel about this, but I think genres can be helpful when you're trying to find new stuff. It certainly helps the music listener to a degree, even if it is in a sense incredibly reductive.
Right.
But I do think there is something to that label, and maybe this is just me being a personal fan of people labeled that, but I think it's overused, and I think it really only applies to music that sounds, this has been my definition of this, it sounds like it's from an era that never really existed. And there's very few artists that actually are able to tap into that kind of uncanny valley of this sounds familiar, but I'm not sure how it sounds familiar. And I don't know. Is that I'm assuming that's
that's really good. That relates right back to what we were saying earlier. It's like imagining a time outside of time or something like that. So something that is not yet or never was or something like that. Yeah. That's definitely an aim of the music. So yeah, in that sense, if that's what the label is, then I'm.
That's my label. I don't know what the Pitchfork bloggers are, because maybe you and Ariel and Molly and people like that, I would definitely say for sure. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that about Tame Impala. Let's be real here.
Yeah, but they have some bangers though, don't they?
Yeah, no, the first record's pretty good. I like the first one.
I don't know. I think that just with genres, you can lose sight of how it's really one event. I think that's why I'm always falling back on this. The broadest possible class for it, which is post-war popular music, commercial music. I don't, there's maybe hip hop is another event, but
Oh, definitely.
But to my mind, there's a guy that I liked, Pissarro, and I've written about this, who identified, I think, 4 in the 20th century. 4. So there was you know, the serialist music from you know, the Second Viennese School, Schoenberg and Webern, up until like Boulez and those guys, Xenakis. And then there's jazz music, you know, from Armstrong up to Coltrane. Then there's the American experimental music with like Cage and his circle, and maybe that includes like Reich and Riley and Glass and those guys, Feldman, Christian Wolff. And then there's rock and roll or punk rock, like from Little Richard and Chuck Berry and Elvis, up through the Beatles, through the Clash, you know, up till you know, through Joy Division, through all that stuff, and you know, it has many, you know, branches or whatever, but it's one sort of event, I think. You know, that's the kind of idea.
Yeah, that's very. I feel like you would only not consider hip hop. I feel like the only logical way to not consider hip hop a part of that is to include hip hop in the rock music event, which I think there's an argument for.
That's what I'm saying. Is that its own event, or is that part of this whole post-war pop? I think it's part of the same event. I think hip hop it's just the emphasis there shifts so much to another level, you know, to the lyrics and the flow or whatever, you know.
Sure, yeah, no, it's very, but it goes back to what, like, I was saying about things that are like spiritually punk.
Yeah.
Like even if it's not like punk rock, it is like a deconstruction of like rhythm and blues and like a means of like.
But that's the whole point, is to be punk, you know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, how better to put it, but it's always been the. In my mind, the sort of musical antithesis to the situation, and of course the situation can put it to work and try to capitalize on it and try to turn it toward reinforcing itself. But I think even, you know, that's always been the case with every music of any situation, and there's something there, there's a truth there, there's something that resists the reduction. You know, that escapes it. Imagine something else than that. You know.
Yeah.
And it's not, like we were saying, to go back to these other threads. It's not, you know, it's not Jello's lyrics that do it. It's the whole sonic assault on meaning. And do you know what I mean? It's the music itself. It's not, you know, that he's saying fuck Richard Nixon or whatever.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
it's like, I mean, I think that's cool or whatever, but like, same. I agree.
I mean, I've done it. I mean, I've done it too. You have to play with the idiom. It's, otherwise you're playing tennis without a net. That's something that's really cool about this music. There is conventions you have to take up, and in that way, you know, maybe it's, you know. We can run a zebra stripe of crazy, you know, synthesized sounds through the middle of this form, you know, and maybe that's more radical as a surprise than just like an hour and a half of electronic studio music that's just those sounds, you know, one after another with no net, with no rules, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I guess that's kind of all I got. So thanks for giving me some of your time.
I wasn't expecting it, so I hope.
No, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's good. I'm so wiped out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Yeah, I mean that.